Dr. Michael Widlensky has become a regular on the show, and we're very thrilled to have him. He is with Bar-Ilan University from the Hebrew U, teaching journalism, a specialist in Arab politics, former reporter, correspondent, and editor at the New York Times, Cox Newspapers, Atlantic Constitution, and the Jerusalem Post, and Arut Sheva, of course. And he has a brand new book coming out this week by Simon & Schuster called The Battle for Our Minds, Western Elites of the Terror Threat. Michael, how are you this morning? Thanks for being with us.
Hi, Zelda. How are you? I'm not used to speaking to you from the East Coast. Normally, I speak to you from the Gold Coast of Jerusalem.
Well, we're happy that you're publicizing the book, and we're looking forward to getting a copy so we can read it as well. Okay, so Michael, tell us a little bit about the book, because I think you want to promote it a little bit, so tell us a little bit about it.
The book deals with the idea that terror is a creature of the mind, and the people who are our gatekeepers for the mind, our best and our brightest, have basically been working with terrorists either deliberately or by accident. The people in academia, media, and government intelligence, the people who are the gatekeepers for our view of the world. And I look at these three elites, and I name names, and I nail them to the cross.
The point is, what can you do about it? I mean, terrorism is so much a part of our psyche now. I mean, you know, when I finish an hour show or a 2-hour show on Sunday, most people would probably be depressed. Instead, I get angry because
the first lesson of my book is that terrorism can be defeated, but it's not usually defeated for all time. It comes in waves. But we've seen that terror can be defeated before. This is a new wave of terror. It's a sophisticated wave of terror. It's a widespread wave of terror. But the first thing to know is that you're in a war, and to identify the enemy, and to develop means to counteract the enemy. We can do all of that. Israel has done that. It hasn't always done it 100%, but it has shown the way for the world to fight terror by Arab Islamic terrorists and to defeat them.
Well, what about the United States? I mean, the United States can foil some of the terrorist attacks, but they really understand what a terrorist is and what he actually wants to do?
Well, the United States and Israel are very similar in two things. They are both nations of immigrants which are based on the idea of democracy and rule of law, as opposed to some other countries which are based on the idea of ethnic identity. And so both the United States and Israel are exceptional countries who get people angry, especially tyrants and terrorists. Israel has defeated terror several times in its existence, and the United States has defeated tyrants several times in its existence. The people of the United States, the people of North America in general, Canada, for example, is governed today by a government which very much understands the terror threat and knows to face it head on. And that's, first of all, what you have to do, to understand and face the threat, develop the means to fight it, develop defenses for illegal immigration, to develop defenses against people inciting to commit murder in mosques and other places, and laundering money. All of these things can be done and have to be done better. The problem in the United States is that you sometimes have governments which want to be politically correct, a State Department that wants to be politically correct, a CIA that wants to be politically correct, a Department of Justice, or even the presidency itself. These are the problems. It's not that you can't defeat terror. You can. We've shown it can be done, and it can be done fairly quickly and very solidly.
Well, I'm surprised to hear that, but as you say, the political correct people in the world who don't want to face the reality of who we're dealing with will continue to make bargains and peace. The Hitlers of the world, Ahmadinejans, the way Chamberlain did, and right now the way we see Obama doing.
Well, you put it very well. You have right now in the U.S. State Department and the CIA people who are saying that Iran can be dealt with, can be engaged, Hezbollah isn't really so terrible, the Muslim Brotherhood can be talked to. These are the same people, sometimes the very same people, who in 1978 said that Ayatollah Khomeini was a moderate. These people are either foolish or liars, or both.
Well, we deal with these people every day, and nobody wants to truly believe, Michael, that you can't defeat someone with a conversation. But it's not going to be done.
Well, I think it's nice that all of our parents told us when we were children that fighting is the wrong thing to do. You try to solve your difficulties by discussing things. That's all right for kids in the neighborhood, kids in the school, and things of that kind. But when you're dealing with somebody who has a totally different mindset, who views you as an infidel or a usurper or both, and who says to his own people, to their own people, we have the right and the duty to launch a jihad in various forms, to dissemble and to lie in order to defeat them, then you're only playing in their ballpark when you try to discuss with them and they use it against you. That's called, in Arabic, taqiyya. It is the doctrine of Islamic dissimulation.
Well, it's interesting, but my late father, who was the pioneer of this program, never, ever told me that talk would solve anything. He always said, you have to fight your way out of any mess. And he was a pacifist, but he was right. And I used to laugh and say, you're kidding me. You can talk to anybody and eventually can win your way over. Well, that's a bunch of crap, and we all know that. But, replacement theology, what I've been finding is that in my show, Michael, I'm on every day, I have a tremendous amount of non-Jewish people listening to the show. Some of them are best friends, and others I would say maybe not. And I get a lot of emails in response that say to me, I'm arrogant, my guests are arrogant, who do I think I am? I mean, the point is, I think who I am is, a messenger of God like you are and doing the job that I have to do. But replacement theology has now become in vogue.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that to our listeners?
I don't want to get into theology, not now. But I'll answer you by swimming across the current diagonally. I think that people of goodwill and good ethics, whether they are Christians, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, should all get to the basic understanding that there is a core set of values: to love your neighbor as yourself, not to murder, not to rob, not to steal, not to commit adultery. Basic values. You can call them the Ten Commandments. You can call them the pillars of Islam. Whatever you want to call it that makes it work for you is fine. We each have a different way to reach God. But if we reach God from a common denominator, we all go to heaven. And we don't have to replace one another. One of the nice things about Jewish theology, and on that I could speak very limitedly, but I'll speak anyway, is that Jews have no problem with Christians, Muslims, or anybody else going to heaven if they keep basic commandments. That's fine. We're living in a world which has seen tremendous destruction, atomic bombs and other things. We can all get to a better place if we learn to respect each other. The problem with the Arab Islamic crazies is they basically, and in this I'll talk about replacement, they want to replace everybody else with Islam's kingdom on earth. And that's terrible. When you deal with somebody who says, you're replaceable, you're an impediment to world peace, you're keeping the Mahdi from coming, well, you can't speak to somebody like that. And what I do in my book is discuss, after I discuss the three elites, I discuss the ideologies of the Arab Islamic terrorists. And it's not arrogant, it's simply straightforward. Looking at what they say, where they said it, how they believe it, how they do it. And I nail everything down with copious references, many of which come from Arabic sources.